Happy Wednesday. Happy Wednesday to you. Wiley here, Chris. The Wiley Report. Checking in live we're calling this Notes from the Field. So today was a busy work day. This week, it's Wednesday, has been busy for me because I had meetings most of the week. And today was long because this afternoon we had the Information Science Research Showcase. I presented a poster, and they also had like research talks, two different ones, and two sets of poster sessions. And then we had the Information Science and Doctoral Association, as well as the Informatics Doctoral Association potluck at 7 to 9. And so I'm a part of that group on the board, if you will. And I wanted to go to show my face because I hadn't really been to a lot of events and it was falling on only one person. So I tried to show up. And so it's been a long day. I'm grateful that I got my poster done. It also meant that leaving campus, I was going to have to take a Uber because the two people that were supposed to give me a ride, they ended up not coming. And it's always weird to me when you take a Uber. Weird in the sense of when you take it at night. Because the first person I picked, I guess they couldn't figure out where I was. And they just passed. And then I got the second person and they said my name, but in the car that they had was a Mazda, but the license plate was different. And they were like, oh, I got a rental. And then it's like, well, what are you going to do? Because I wasn't going to take two buses home because it was literally, I wouldn't have got home till 9:30. And yeah, so I did share my route with my wife because I was like, this is weird. And also, you riding home. There's nothing, strange about riding home. It's just, Uber drivers are all different. Some talk, some don't. But when you halfway to your house and the Uber driver says, you from here? I'm not going to tell him where I'm from. I'm not going to do that. So I'm like, he's like, you from Champagne? I was like, yeah. Forgive me, Jesus, for lying, but I don't know you. You a stranger, sir. He was like, oh, most of the people I pick up, they're from Chicago. Okay. Do I believe that? I don't know. I'm not telling a stranger where I'm from. We not friends. I'm just trying to get a ride home. I really am. And if it was lighter, and if this was, where I used to stay, where the bus ran, to know it was only one bus home, on my actual bus ran here, I would have been on it. But I live in the suburbs. And, in the suburbs, white America, they stop running out here at 6:30. They do come, but it's like it's longer. Instead of one bus, it's two. So in certain neighborhoods, you can't get a bus there anymore, especially if you're on that 9A. They don't. That's white America ain't playing that. So anyway, I just thought that was weird. And then also just, thinking about today in the sense of not weird, but just you never really know what people are going through. I went to grief group tonight. I belong to this group I've been going to for a while. And we were just basically talking about grief through the holidays. And there were new people because I haven't really been since probably October because the two times they only had one meeting in October and then they had two meetings in the first meeting that they had in November I didn't make because I was at a conference or coming back or work or something was going on. I don't remember, but I didn't make it. But I did let them know. And so I went tonight. And it's basically a group where different people have lost a parent. Some are mother, a father. And they give you like coping skills. So, we're talking about the holidays and how the holidays affect people. For me, thanks. I decided to take next week off, not because of grief, but because I'm exhausted. I'm really tired. I've spent so much of September and October writing and not taking a qualifying exam. I'm just spent, and I'm like, well, what I'm gonna do? Just get up in the morning, go get on the bus, and go sit at work for. I don't need to do that. I got vacation time. I can take the time off if I really have something to do, and it's that pressing. I can work from home. But I've already decided that I'm taking those days off, and my boss approved the days, so we good. And just thinking about the holidays in general, I've never really been a fan of the holidays. I don't know, I don't know why. I think, I don't know. When I say I don't know why, I don't know the root of that. I don't know if it's because the seasons change, and it's been that way for me for a long time. Like back when I lived in Miami, there were some times though that I said I really enjoyed Christmas. I can think of, some times that I did enjoy it, but lately it's always like a somber time. I think it's a somber time for me because as the seasons are changing. It's also because, my family has never been accepting, so it's like, well, what are you going to do? And for me, it's like I visit my mom now because it's her and my brother. And while that used to be fulfilling, I'm learning that in some ways it can be overcare, and it's not really you're helping, you're just with them because they don't have anybody else. But then lately I've been going to think about what will make Chris happy, what will make Chris feel fulfilled, and what are those spaces like. And I guess I've been thinking about that more often. And I think part of that came from the second time when I visited, and I just felt like I stayed too long. I knew I cared, and I had said, I would come back again, but I stayed too long. And after found out and figured out that I wasn't taking the exam, my mother is still under the impression and under the thought that I'm taking my qualifying exam. And so she already knew that I was not. And not just because of that, I've never come to visit them for Thanksgiving. Even when I lived in Augusta, I didn't come over there. So, because family to me is the people who love you unconditionally, not conditionally, not only under what their beliefs are. When I say family, is people that love me for real, people that I enjoy their company, people that I accept them just as they are. I'm not trying to change you. You. And I love you, and it's never going to change. That's who I am as a person. So when I think of holidays, it's like you surround yourself with people like that. This year it's a bit different because, my wife's in Baltimore. So the idea of cooking a turkey breast and, the normal things that I would cook, because I generally the person sometimes that cooks, even though she's a much better cook than I am, it just feels like, but why? And I don't want it to make me sad. And I don't want it to remind me that it's just me here in Illinois. So I'm like, maybe we gotta get something different and do something different. Not that doing the different thing would change the fact that it's just me here in Illinois. Just trying to do something different. Because I'm aware of my emotions and I'm aware of where I'm at. And I'm like, I know my bandwidth has been really low. It's not just the test. It's just I have felt like, what's my motivation? Like I'm learning that emotionally and mentally, you got to keep yourself going or build yourself up, and that's equally important. You got to have an actual life, not just a work life or not just a school life, but a full and joyous life. And I've always been stuck on how you have that, what makes that so. Because work is great. I do love being a librarian. I enjoy going to school. I enjoy learning. The process of things that I'm learning in the PhD program have been things that I didn't know, especially after you get out of the classes, you know. So that's been a learning experience and a navigation. But I also realized those aren't the only things. That's not all I want to do. So really trying to figure out what else do I want to do with my life? not just school, not just work, but the Chris that I want to be, and how to be that person, the best version of myself. And that's what I think about. In addition to trying to decompress, trying to find joy here living in Illinois, or find what brings me joy, and learning to love me, all of me. So, that's where I'm at. And then you meet people, because like today, I know they say people don't really talk a lot with their cohort, people that come in with you. And I say there's a couple of them that I talk to, and it's not that I don't talk to them. It's just like, do I see you? And there's this guy. He's in my cohort. I mean, he's in my lab too, but he's one of those people that I don't. It's like I speak to you, I see you, but I don't know you. And but I'm always nice to you, and he's always nice to me. And he's in my lab, but his advisor is not Jody, who's my advisor. But I always see him in my, lab groups. And he's doing papers with my advisor. And so today when I was standing at the poster, not standing at the poster, I had stood at the poster for a while. We had the research presentations, and then they had another break. And then I had come back over that way where my poster was, because it was near coffee. And I was like, oh, I'm going to give you some coffee. And then I saw him standing over on the other side. And I was like, hey, I'm going to say his name, but I said, hey, how you doing? And you know how people will say real stuff, and then or have you ever had the experience where people say real things and then they go by it real quick, and you're like, but I hear you. So I was like, hey, how you doing? And he was like, hey, and then he asked me, before he answered how he was doing, he asked me about, he said, oh yeah, he said, you taking your qualifying exam? I said, yeah, early spring though. I said early spring, not how I thought. And he looked, and I was like, yeah, I got 2 advisors. So the second advisor I didn't hear from until late. And then I was like, how you doing? And he was like, I'm struggling. Good to see you. Take care. I'm like, what? It was the way he said I'm struggling. And then he just disappeared. And I was like, we walked away, and I'm like, you never know what students are going to. And I had reached out to another guy who's in, because we have this caucus that is like the Black and African students of information science, that we're all on WhatsApp. And I was like, later I had said to another guy that I see him with, and I was like, have you ever talked to Malik? And I was like, because my belief is this: I can reach out to you and say, hey, when we had that conversation, you said you were struggling. And that person may or may not talk to me. But if I see you with people who I know you hang with, I know their words, their care could possibly have a deeper effect than mine. So since I knew this one guy that knows everybody, and everybody always feels comfortable talking to him, I was like, hey, I just want to say this. I said, I plan, because we always talk about how we can support all of us, because everybody's at different stages. Some of us are at classes. Some of us have taken the reading exam and passed, and the oral exam and passed. And we just, in that in between and doing the next thing. The other people that are getting ready to defend their dissertation. So it's that. But with what we've tried to create with the Black information science and informatics students, is just have ethics of care, where we're like, you know what? It doesn't matter what year I'm in or what I'm focused on. I care about you. And how are you doing? And what can I do to be of support to you? And if me and you don't necessarily have a relationship that fosters that, then I'm going to find somebody that does, and then ask them to check on you. Because I don't want anybody to get left behind, or anybody to feel lost and alone, because this going to school, I don't even think it's going to school. Life, you can feel that way, that nobody gives a shit about you, because it can be just you. And while that might be a feeling, and for some people, if we're being 100% true, it can be real. But for others, you do have people who actually care about you. You do have to reach out to them and or keep going until you find people, your community, your tribe of people who get you. So I was just thinking about that today. That's all I got. I'm hoping that however you find yourself well. I'm working from home tomorrow, and I'm glad about it because I am so sleepy. I'm going to bed. But anyway, wish y'all a good evening. Wish you continued success, continued and much love always. And if nobody has said, I love you, I care about you, I see you, come here. I do. And I believe in you. And if you ever need a person to sit and listen, I'm here. Peace. To hold space, however, in whatever way works best for you. Peace.